मास्क उतारो जी में आप सबका स्वागत है। नमस्कार। आज मेरे साथ है वार्तालाप पे नंदिनी जी और निशीथ जी, और हम बात करेंगे कि ऑपोजिशन का क्या हाल हो रहा है पूरे देश में, और वो कर क्या रही है, करना क्या चाहती है। मोदी जी तो हर चीज की इनॉग्रेशन करते जा रहे हैं, अनाउंस कर रहे हैं खूब सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स, और ऑपोजिशन अपने ही राह कोई अलाप रही है। और क्या उनका प्रेसिडेंट के लिए जो कैंडिडेट है वो क्या कर रहे हैं, तो नेशनल एम्बलम पे क्या कर रहे हैं, तो आरए पे क्या होने वाला है, ये सब आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे। नमस्कार नंदिनी, नमस्कार निश्चित।
नमस्ते जी।
अच्छा, आप दोनों मुझे बताओ दिस अबाउट दिस नेशनल एम्बलम अटॉप द न्यू पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग, उसके बारे में कुछ बताओ। तो लेडीज फर्स्ट कर लेते हैं, तो नंदिनी जी पहले बता दें आप। फिर
क्या बताएं? It's the same old story. It just doesn't change. It's so repetitive. It just carries on. First you protest. You make snide comments. You say it's horrible that the Modi's building his own palace. What are we doing in the COVID times? And you just go on in such a negative way. And then finally, when it's inaugurated, you say, why weren't we invited? But party poopers are never invited to the party. I mean, you'd be foolish to invite people who've spent 2 years just cursing the whole exercise and the whole project. Why would they be invited? And from what we see of this government, they've sort of, decided they'll just carry on heedless. Tum bolte chaho, hum karte jayenge. So the exercise has become, it's a set pattern. We expect this to happen, and it's like rinse, repeat. You just carry on. So I don't see anything new in it.
निशीथ वो कह रहे हैं, प्रशांत भूषण तो कह रहे हैं कि ये वाला जो उसके ऊपर शेर मुख है, वो सारे घुरा रहे हैं। दे आर लुकिंग वेरी एग्रेसिव। उसके बारे में आप क्या कहोगे?
तो वो 1 रुपए वाला शेर थोड़ी है। 1 रुपए वाला होता तो वो आता था ना, एक ऐड आता था जिसमें एमजीएम की कॉपी करी थी, वो गले में खिच एंड दैट लाइन ट्राइज टू रोर, और उसकी बिल्ली ऐसी आवाज निकलती थी। हाँ, वो प्रशांत भूषण को देख के मुझे वो वाला शेर याद आता है। 1 रुपए में तो मियाओ ही होगा, रोर तो नहीं हो सकता।
Anyway, I think this government was elected for being different from the previous governments. We wanted an assertiveness. We wanted somebody to stand up. So the lion is also representative of the same thought. We don't want a little meow. We want a lion.
Between the lines, this government was also elected to aggravate the opposition as much as it could. So, which they are doing beautifully. I may have objections with how they are running the government. I may not agree on some things, but the aggravation bit I agree with. That Modi ji is doing a fantastic job. मुझे एक बात बताओ, पूरी दुनिया में आपने कोई ऐसा प्राइम मिनिस्टर देखा है जो पूरे ऑपोजिशन को एक फोटो दे देता है और ऑपोजिशन बैठ के और ऑन द एग्रेशन इन द स्नाल ऑफ द स्टैचू ऑफ अ लायन वो डिबेट करता है फ्रॉम फर्स्ट कॉपी टू 4th कॉपी। इसके दांत बड़े हैं, इसका मुंह छोटा है, इसका ज्यादा खुला है, इसमें एग्रेशन ज्यादा है। व्हाट मोर डू यू नीड इन टर्म्स ऑफ एन ऑपोजिशन?
Very true. He set the agenda now. I think the agenda is now being set. First, I mean, few years ago they set the agenda and we reacted to it. Now it's like you said. He puts out this photo for 1 week, they'll outrage about it. Then
and to add fuel to the fire, ये कई अंधभक्त हैं जिन्होंने उसका मीम बना के डाला है कि इसमें बताओ कितने शेर है। और ज्यादा कांग्रेस के सपोर्टर्स उस पर रिएक्ट कर रहे हैं, इलेक्शंस गोइंग ओवरबोर्ड। व्हाई दे रिएक्टिंग, आई एम स्टिल नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड। अच्छा, अब आप इसी ऑपोजिशन से ही बात ही कर रहे हैं, तो आप बताइए निशीथ, ऑपोजिशन का जो ये प्रेसिडेंट के लिए जो कैंडिडेट है यशवंत सिन्हा जी, मतलब ये क्यों माने, और ये क्या है, कितनी वोट्स मिलेंगी, क्या होगा?
ये ऑपोजिशन का कैंडिडेट कौन है?
यशवंत सिन्हा जी है ना।
वो कौन है? शत्रुघ्न सिन्हा का भाई है क्या? है कि वो उसका चाचा वाचा है कोई, मुझे पता नहीं, आई डोंट नो.
सिन्हा ही है, हाँ.
सिन्हा तो है वो, बट आई डोंट नो हु इज ही.
So he's going to the extent of saying कि फारूक अब्दुल्ला और महबूबा मुफ्ती ही एक पेट्रियट्स हैं इस दुनिया में. इंडिया में इससे बड़े कोई है ही नहीं. हाँ.
Very good. Very good.
The tallest leaders, the tallest
Yeah.
leaders.
Yeah.
Of,
Tallest and honest leaders.
yes. So on that only, you can start rolling on the floor and laughing. So what more? What more can we talk about?
And I think Mamata Banerjee did a game on him. I think पहले उनको announce कर दिया. Now she doesn't know.
Yeah,
what
it
to
is
do.
a pre-decided election, Payal. For the presidential election, because the voting pattern and the weight of the votes is clear, you can actually calculate who's going to get how many votes, apart from the cross voting which might happen. All right. So it is a lost cause. I don't think the given opposition of today has the wherewithal to encourage cross voting. And why would anybody cross vote for the current opposition? For what reason? There's nothing that they will gain by trying to cross vote against the ruling party. So it's a given up thing. There's nothing going to come out of that election. The candidate also knows कि मुझे तो हारना है, तो ये 4-5 दिन जब तक मुझे घोड़े पे बिठा के घुमा रहे, so let me act fine and jaunty and whatever. So he's playing his last act in the play. After this, it is curtains for him politically. So I'm sorry, I do know who's Yashwant Sinha.
Yeah.
This is his curtain call for him. This is the last act of his political life.
But why did he offer himself as a sacrificial vote? I mean,
and go through the humiliation.
Look, Nandini, the man could have walked out without a swan song, or he's got an opportunity to cloak a swan song and go away. So he's chosen the second one. So
there was a time when I actually thought he was one of the, the
sensible guys.
Yeah, one of the good guys in BJP. Okay, all those rollbacks I still remember, but I still thought this man had something to him. But
no, I happened to receive him when he was the finance minister back in the 90s.
Yes.
So I was asked to receive him for a program that he had come to attend, and I had a brief interaction from the airport to the venue with him and beyond. He's an insufferable man. He's so full of himself that he actually believes I have the solution to everything under the sun. And you guys just can't have it.
During his tenure as a finance minister,
there was corruption. Parcel of being in a third front government, no? How will you manage to be in power in a third front if you don't manage your alliances? So you'll compromise. It's a given. But the guy has been an IAS officer, I believe, or an IFS officer prior to getting into politics. So he believes he knows bureaucracy and officialdom as much as he knows the politics of the nation.
Right.
Unfortunately, he's been active in a period when there was no electoral politics. It was all adjustment politics of that era. It was all the Dev Gaudas, I.K. Gujrals of the world were managing to create governments by adjustments. So his sum total of exposure to electoral politics is adjustment. And he believes he can get away with that.
Yeah.
But that is
also, and he's also there in a period now where he has to face social media.
Yeah.
So the combination of the two has sort of brought him down into this one heap of dung. You know what I mean?
He's got no clue what to do with that heap.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not able to negotiate that at all.
It has been, social media has been the downfall of many of these
cats
who hung around on the territory and were brought in, Yeah.
The high and mighty of our media are also exposed now because of the social media.
Yeah. अच्छा, Nandini, आप मुझे बता, this opposition is celebrating the whole downfall of Sri Lanka. कि उनका फाइनेंशियल डाउनफॉल हुआ है, पॉलिटिकली भी उनका कितना वो हुआ है, मतलब दे सेलिब्रेटिंग, थिंकिंग एंड विशिंग एंड होपिंग कि एक दिन ये सेम चीज मोदी जी के साथ भी होएगी और हो जाएगी. व्हाट आर योर व्यूज ऑन दिस?
I've been reading all these opinions of various journalists and people, and makes you wonder what have they read into it that they actually connected to us and our system of governance and our economy and what's happening there. What did they read? And if they read what they think is going to be the outcome, it only shows how illiterate they are in the whole thing. I mean, there was one chap who said today on Twitter that, the central vista is being inaugurated, but one day, like Sri Lanka, people will be on this central vista, pulling down this palace of Modi. And, and I thought, I would love to get into his head to know, like, तुम क्या खाते हो, into his stomach rather, क्या खाते हो, क्या सोचते हो? I mean, where did you this man is winning elections. He has taken this country through the COVID times. We are coming out of it. We are doing much better than a lot of countries. He wins elections. Where do they see the connection? Where do they see the connection between India and Sri Lanka? I haven't understood it. And
it's a lot of delusion, I think.
Yes, it makes
completely
very delusional. And then you realize why they keep losing elections, because they are so disconnected. अगर तुमको समझ ही नहीं आ रही है कि ये देश क्या हो रहा है इस देश में, and you're looking at little Sri Lanka and you're getting so excited.
Come on, Nandini, let's have that chal foot from you for the opposition. निशित, आप क्या सोचते हो?
यार एक्चुअली ऑपोजिशन को देख के कुछ सोचने लायक अब बचा भी नहीं है. देयर वाज अ टाइम वी वुड कंसिडर कि इनकी पोजीशन क्या है, व्हाट डू दे थिंक अबाउट इट, व्हाट इज देयर स्टैंस. दीज थिंग्स ऑल यूज्ड टू बी लेजिटिमेट till a few years back. In the last 3-4 years, I think the way they have behaved, also courtesy Rahul Gandhi's very inspiring leadership of the opposition, we have come to a point that you don't need to consider anything. I mean, the sorriest endorsement of Mr. Modi is the Tina factor. But that Tina factor has been gifted to him by an opposition which is so clueless that वो सड़क पे चलता हुआ ठेले वाला भी आपको बोल देगा मोदी जी बहुत अच्छा काम तो शायद नहीं कर रहे लेकिन उनसे तो बहुत ही अच्छा कर रहे हैं. So you have actually pulled yourself out of the ring and allowed the total field to Mr. Modi, whether he is doing things according to your expectation or not. So this is the sorry situation of the opposition in the country, and I really think that it is very sorry situation, because we deserve to have a decent opposition, which would make this government work probably a little better than what it is doing at times.
True. You always need somebody to bolster your own determination. If you had a serious competitor, you would work better. If you have these lousy goofs, the field is open.
What's going to happen? And what do you do with them?
Yeah, I mean, and it seems they are now, each one is competing to be a bigger goof. It's not that they're trying to say, okay, please don't consider me with this lot. I'm separate and I have a standing and I have responsibility and accountability and I will behave like a responsible section of the opposition. There's nobody like that. Everybody has gathered with the lowest IQ chap.
Yeah. We all roll down into the lowest common denominator.
Yes.
And probably competing with each other at that.
Yes.
So it is so rare now, you'll probably find us ringing a bell, that any sensible opposition statement we have not heard in years and years and years. And suddenly, if you hear somebody talking even an iota of sense from the opposition, you are jolted. Oh man, where is this guy? Why is he not in BJP? This is the instant reaction. यार ये अकल की बात कर रहा है, ये कैसे उधर है? He should have been born this side of the fence.
Or when is he moving? Or when is he moving? You know,
when is he moving?
Makes sense when they're going to do it. So yeah, it is.
Yeah, opposition.
आपको लगता है निशीथ ये झारखंड में भी महाराष्ट्र होगा?
I don't know, honestly. I mean,
आज तो बहुत तारीफ कर रहे थे सुरेश जी मोदी जी की.
वो ठीक है. I mean, that is hard-coded politics. So really, you can't outguess them. If it is on the cards, it may happen. I mean, for us to
speculate is not.
Speculate is a little too far-fetched to really do. And in any case, I'm not clued into Jharkhand much, तो मुझे वहाँ का idea भी नहीं है.
But let's talk about RA. You think this project will be there or ये फिर से null and void हो जाएगा और सब फिर से वो सारा wash हो जाएगा, wash away हो जाएगा?
I believe it will be taken care of. It will work out now. And it will work at a better pace than it was handled last time. With the benefit of hindsight, and you know now what is Bollywood going to do, what are these other socialite idiots going to do in terms of objective.
So predictable, very predictable.
It is now so predictable that you know from MSM to Bollywood to socialites, where is the opposition going? And I think now they'll be able to handle it much better and smoothly. And we'll have a faster pace of things happening out there.
Yeah, because I was reading that.
Have you noted that how more muted it is in the sense?
It is.
The Bollywood, all those socialites, everybody.
Bollywood is traveling, yeah. गर्मी बहुत है, humidity बहुत है महाराष्ट्र में, बॉम्बे में, तो Bollywood is traveling. They're all in London अभी.
अरे तो लंदन से ट्वीट करने में क्या दिक्कत है?
वहाँ से भी बोल सकते हैं.
वो ट्वीट भी कर सकते हैं और पैसे तो यहाँ से पीआर कंपनी डाली देती है खाते में उनके. तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है? इसमें कोई टायरनी ऑफ डिस्टेंस नहीं है.
I think
it is that tyranny of lack of ideas.
Yes.
Now they really don't know what to do क्योंकि पिछली बार तो कर लिया था, ये रोल फिर से आ गया अब. So how can you better the last performance?
Yeah, true.
So predictable, everybody.
कुछ नहीं.
अच्छा, आप दोनों बताओ about Zubair. What's going to happen? What he was doing? Who he is? People don't know anything about him. No relative, no family member has come and applied for his bail. What is this Zubair?
You're fishing for a conspiracy theory.
बताओ मुझे जल्दी.
जब कुछ पता ही नहीं है तो हम क्या बताएंगे?
थोड़ा तो कुछ डालो ना मसाला उसमें, बताओ मेरे इंटरव्यू में.
No, I'm inclined to believe that there is more into his existence than what we have been seeing till now. I would not be very surprised if, apart from having international relations with murky organizations, he's actually a creation of some anti-India forces or countries inimical to our country. And he's been created as a spanner in the wheels of India and sent to India for this particular assignment. This is what my sixth sense tells me, that there is much more to it than just being a stupid fact checker, which is a dime a dozen kind of a job. Anybody could have done that. But you don't need such an elaborate alibi, lack of background, no records, no traces. That is a seriously created profile. It is not something which just happens.
Yeah. And Nandini, like if he was planted, hypothetically, I'm saying if he was planted, why was he not hiding, or why was he so, visible, and why was he was literally like वो पंगे ले रहा था लोगों से. Like
I think there was a certain confidence which came in that nobody, there's nobody stopping you. You can function, you can do what you like. And then I think that is, they say, the biggest, if you've seen enough spy movies and if you've seen that, the biggest thing is when you become complacent, when you're overconfident, and then you push and you keep pushing and taking risks, and finally, I guess you get caught out. But the reaction of the foreign countries and the foreign organizations immediately to his arrest has been a surprising part, that you didn't expect them to jump into it and so openly say. And this is country like Germany, who has just recently frozen the accounts of a journalist who didn't take the same, narrative on the war story that Germany wanted to present on Ukraine and so on and so forth. And you do that in your own home country, and here you're worried about what we are doing with this fact checker, who the government has enough reasons, the agencies have enough reasons to investigate him. But I was very surprised at the way they all jumped in, and that itself makes you very suspicious about who he is, and what is his role, and
And look, for all of us on social media, we've been watching this guy for at least a couple of years now.
Yes.
Any foreign publication or media organization calling him a journalist is something which we don't buy at all.
No, he
by
denied
no
it
stretch
himself.
of
He denied it himself, and some tweet he said, "I'm not a journalist."
Yeah, I'm not a journalist.
He did that, but even if you are trying to push him, because that is what they tweeted initially. These foreign publications and media houses talked about some great journalist being hounded by the right-wing nationalist government. That was the narrative. And if that was the narrative, then nobody in India was buying it, for God's sake. आप अपने देश के लोगों को, Germans को और Europeans को समझाओ कि some great guy is being hounded in India, but the Indians weren't buying it. We haven't seen him.
True. And also,
as a journalist,
backfire on the person, because it's like, what is that? Hafiz Saeed, complimenting Barkhadat. He thought he did a big favor, but after that, we all started looking at Barkhadat very differently,
Yes.
And if you have all the Germans and the Middle Eastern people suddenly jumping up with Zubair, you start wondering, what is his role? What is his agenda? What is he there for? That it in fact backfires on the guy who's hoping for support. I don't think there's much sympathy for this man at all, except among the same handful, except among the same handful of people.
But Nisheeth, do you think people connected to him, alt news, people like some Pratik Sinha and all this, ये जो पूरा कबाल है, will they also get caught, or कि वो निकल जाएंगे, वो इसको बलि का बकरा बना देंगे और
नहीं, उनके हाथ में है नहीं बनाना, ये तो सरकार के हाथ में है कि इसको बकरा बनाना है कि कबाब बनाना है. ये सरकार डिसाइड करेगी. इसमें प्रतीक सिन्हा क्या डिसाइड करेगा? ये तो सरकार को डिसाइड करना है कि प्रदीप का कबाब बनना है कि नहीं बनना है. There is nothing that Pratik can do in it. Except try to wind his trail. There is nothing in the hands of that guy. It is the government which has gotten after him, and the kind of ambivalence I'm seeing from the judiciary. Because initially I was expecting that he'll be given a bail, like those midnight hearings of Menons and so on. Lekin वैसा हुआ नहीं, which makes me think that the paperwork of the government has at least some amount of meat on it to force the judiciary to consider whether bail should be given or not given.
But hasn't even given bail today by the Supreme Court?
It's in one case. On the other, it is not.
अभी वो लखीमपुर के किसी उसमें वो वहाँ की.
But every second time it goes to the court, Nandini, you'll notice that some new clauses have been added to the
original
the FIR against him.
Yes.
So there are new clauses which are getting added, and the case against him multiplies by that. So I doubt if it is going to be very simple.
But Nisheeth, ये जो पूरा मोड में चल रही है ना बीजेपी, अभी जो सेंटर चल रही है, this I think सारे right wingers are really enjoying it. मुझे भी ये aggression अच्छी लग रही है, और ये लग रहा है कि अब ये वाले काम भी बहुत जरूरी थे. सिर्फ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जरूरी नहीं था, ये जो पूरा कबाल है, ये जो गंदगी अंदर तक घुसी हुई, इनको भी निकालना बहुत जरूरी है.
देखो आप, मुझे लगता है, and I may be completely wrong, but this government, Modi government, for all its good and bad things together, they are not very used to being abused by their supporters. from the time they came in. I'm being very candid because from the time they came in 2014, they are used to being welcomed on a red carpet and stuff like that. So they are not really used to being criticized and very harshly criticized by their own supporters. So from a very commonsensical perspective, when that happens, it forces you to reconsider in your mind, boss, मैं क्या गलत कर रहा हूँ? And that is enough role that the social media plays with the BJP. If we keep reminding them, ki, look, this is what we wanted and this is what you are not doing, I'm sure somebody goes back, takes cognizance of that and starts doing something about it. It may take a little more time than we anticipate. हमें तो लगता है कि हमने अभी ट्वीट किया तो आधे घंटे में प्रधानमंत्री ने एक्शन क्यों नहीं लिया? That is our expectation. But उतना नहीं भी होता है अगर एक महीने बाद भी हो जाए उसके ऊपर कुछ काम. So I think we will be on a jolly roll with the supporters telling the government what to do, and government obliging them once in a while will be a good relationship to be in.
Like, you know, what happened was spaces organize हो रही थी, उसमें हर कोई आके ये बोल रहा था कि बीजेपी ने बीएसपी और बजरंग दल को कमजोर कर दिया, इतना वीक कर दिया कि वो दिखते ही नहीं है कहीं पे. फिर अब वो करनी सेना राजस्थान में बस 15 अगस्त के टाइम में वैसे कुछ कोई दिखता नहीं है. सडनली तो कि ये वीएचपी ने ही ये जो संकल्प मार्च ऑर्गेनाइज किया है, ये मैंने देखा ये जो लाइक निशीथ से वो ये बहुत जल्दी बैकफुट पे आ जाते हैं, डर जाते हैं लोग बहुत, अपोलोजेटिक भी हो जाते हैं. सडनली दे स्टार्ट एक बीच में कोई चीज ऐसी कर देंगे जिससे कि सारे सपोर्टर शांत हो जाएं. ये बात तो है जरूर है. चलिए जी, थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you so much.
बाय बाय. थैंक यू.